The round robin group stage does does continue. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Gressvan, we have the Swedish Zerg player representing Team Roddy going for a proxy hatchery across the map. It is Fjant. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Gressvan, getting proxy hatched, we have the blue Protoss player representing Team Liquid. It is SKillous. Oh, let's go. So, for those wondering, proxy hatches are very common on these maps. They're very common, I say these maps, they're very common on Gressvan, Ancient Cistern, and Royal Blood as well. The thing that these maps have in common is that there's no ramp. There's no ramp here at the natural base, which means you don't have to worry about high ground vision. The choke point isn't as narrow. You have so much more success, especially with spine rushing your opponent and spreading creep in this direction. Speaking of, drones are arriving. Spine crawlers are soon to be on the way. SKillous is going for a scout. He's finally going to get eyes on the lack of hatchery, and SKillous is slowly piecing this together. Now, of all the maps that don't have a ramp coming into the natural, Gressvan does have the largest entryway here at the natural base. So again, this is the most ideal situation here for Fjant. SKillous does check. He confirms he does see the hatchery. He's throwing down a second pylon and a forge. Soon to be a forge. Oh, no, sorry, a gateway. Interesting. A very bold move here. Without a forge, he won't have cannons to work with. He does have his first zealot out. He's going to be diving on that spine crawler. Forces to cancel. A good start here from SKillous. But a second spine crawler is on the way. Queen is in production. Lings are en route as well. So ideally, to defend against this, you do want a forge just because you want cannons. You have very limited damage, or you have very limited units available, production available to you, so a forge does help with that. On top of that, a robotics facility as well for immortals. First two zealots have arrived. Good kiting out of SKillous, but he will not get on top of these spine crawlers. He gets surrounded. Both zealots are going to be going down. The spine crawlers are going to finish. And that's a lot of shield batteries. Lings have arrived. They're just diving on that shield battery. Good surface area on it. Shield battery is going to be going down. Oh, good target firing SKillous. He got the creep tumor. That will slow down the push. But the wall is not a wall. The Lings, they do push on forward. And they're getting on top of these shield batteries. Stalker's being zoned away. First shield battery goes down. Another shield battery as well. The Stalkers are trying to get within range. They know, Buffy. They're trying to get within range. The Stalker's stuck. It has to be recalled out. This is just getting very, very chaotic here for SKillous. Lings, they get us around. A Stalker goes down. There's only two remaining. Oof. And the boys have to be pulled. In the midst of all this chaos at the natural base, the spine crawlers have been going ham. Gateways are going down. Pylons are under threat. There is no nexus for an overcharge. And it looks like Fjant is taking control of the natural. Everything is getting depowered. There is no warp gates. There is no more production. In the main base, we have a Twilight Council on the way. He's crazy. A Twilight Council's on the way. Very ambitious here from SKillous. It's going to get surrounded. And it's going to be cancelled. And we can see SKillous really struggling to deal with this. He's been microing his heart out with these two Stalkers. He's been trying his heart out here. But workers are falling. He's down to 18 probes. Still has a better economy, technically, than his opponent. But the natural, it's gone. It is gone at this point. More gateways are on the way. Now, if Fjant really wanted to, after he creeps the natural, he could try and drone, but no, he's going for the kill. Doesn't want this to end. The cyber core is exposed and it's going to get surrounded. Even if the gateways finish, it's not going to be enough. There is that robotics facility on the way, but it's too little too late for that. After we get the Cybercore, we can just dive on top of the robot. That's exactly what Fjant does. Making sure that SKillous just doesn't have a way back into this game. We don't have enough energy for overcharge. Good drone, sorry, good probe drilling here from SKillous. But there's still so many links. There's the overcharge. Fjant is forced back. We can see the creep just leapfrogging forward here. The spine crawler is leapfrogging forward with the creep. Cybercore goes down once again. Now, with these two Zealots, SKillous does have a stronger force, but the problem is that the spines are coming. The spine crawlers are arriving. It isn't just Lings anymore. There's the Queens, there's Transfuse, there's another Queen as well. And Fjant's doing it. He is doing it, Papi. He's looking to take his first game. He had a hard time against Hero Marine earlier. Two more Zealots have arrived. The probes are being pulled once again. And we have another we have another overcharge. But 10 workers go down. And with the added DPS of the spine crawler, it's just too much. GG gets called, and Fjant takes game number 1. GG. Let's go. Again, SKillous, he had a bit of a greedy reaction to this. Didn't take it seriously enough. Things escalated very quickly and they snowballed out of control. GG. GG, well played. Earlier we were talking about it. We were talking about how against these proxy hatches, forges are ideal just so you can get cannons, because you only have 2 gateways. You can only make 2 units at a time and you can't warp in, so any extra DPS is just that much more valuable. Likewise, a robotics facility in the main base is ideal as well. The Immortal does help focus down those queens, focus down the spine crawlers. And SKillous was thinking about it. If you remember, he almost did throw down that forge, but then at the last second he changed his mind, went for a gateway instead. Again, I do think that he was just feeling good about himself being able to stop it before it really got going. GG. GG. Ooh. And with that, we're getting into game 2. We're getting into our second game. Now, unfortunately, this game has a ramp at the natural, so we're not going to be seeing another proxy hatch. I said this map has a ramp leading into the natural. We are loading into Dragon Scales. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, leading the series 1-0. We have the Swedish Zerg player representing Team Roddy. It is Fjant. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the blue Protoss player representing Team Liquid. It is SKillous. Here we go. SKillous, of course, immediately sending his probe across the map, is looking to scout his opponent, gets eyes on the drone that's going to be going over and getting another base. And again, because we're on Dragon Scales, I don't think SKillous is too paranoid about a proxy hatchery. This is just not a good map for it at all. Regardless, he does double check and he confirms that a hatchery has been taken, so it's in the back of his mind. SKillous making sure that he's safe and sound. Is going to be diving into the main. It is going to be a hatch gas pool opener, so very economic here out of Fjant. And likewise, SKillous back at home is setting up for his own gate expand as well. So pretty standard stuff. And I'm excited for that, right? It's like we saw some cheeky builds out of Fjant in that last game, but here I'm ready to see what he can do in a much more standard scenario against a player like SKillous. What is his go-to? And how does he compare? I'm ready for it. But now Fjant was just forced to take the unnatural natural, so it's going to make the defense a little bit more awkward against things like Oracle, against things like Glaive Adepts. I don't know if SKillous is really one to go for Glaive Adepts. Maybe after game 1, after what just happened, he'd be willing to be a little bit more aggressive. We'll see. He is on match point. There it is. Twilight Council. So SKillous is looking to be more aggressive, is going for a Twilight Council opener. With this, he can go into DTs with a Dark Shrine, or he can go into Glaive Adepts. We'll keep our eyes on the gases to see if he does pull out, as the Overlord of Fjant is dipping on in, and Fjant will get eyes on the Twilight Council. He is aware. He now knows that he needs to throw down a Roach Warren a little bit earlier than normal. Does need to take this very seriously, as the Robo is thrown down at the natural, being hidden from this Overlord. Probe is pulled out of gas, but I believe he is only showing that to the Overlord. Interesting. It is still going to be Glaives. Overlord is going to be shooed away. Glaive Adepts in production. I wonder how many gateways we're going to be working with this. Okay. As for now, it's going to be 4 gates Glaive Adepts. I say for now, we are mining a little bit extra gas, so I'm curious if we're going to throw down additional gateways, or if we're still going to throw down something like a Dark Shrine or a Robotics Bay behind this. Okay, now there we go. Do pull out. So just going to be 4 gate Glaive Adepts. So not the most aggressive opener. With this, you can still expand, you can still take a 3rd base. But Fjant does need to prepare back at home. Speaking of, the Roach Warren is about to finish up. Lings are in production. Fjant has drawn up to around 40. 38 is going to be good enough, as Fjant is just attempting to muster up an army. 5 Roaches are in production. The Adepts warped in right under that Overlord as well. SKillous, he doesn't even care. Oh, as he does commit to the shade. Good positioning. All these Lings are going to be going down. Good target firing on that Roach, and the Roach does fall as well. So far, good trades out of SKillous, but he hasn't gotten any workers yet, and you can see that he is being thinned out. But there we go, drones are finally going down. At the same time, we have Adepts here at the 3rd base as well, forcing a lot of lost mining time. But the Lings are able to keep up, and so far, Fjant, he has minimized his losses. He's got a 3rd base on the way. Lings are heading across the map, looking to try and deny that 3rd. Oh, as the Adepts do get a couple of queens. Again, so far, really good trades out of SKillous. Back at home, Lings, they get us surrounded and looking for a cancel. And they are going to find one. Ooh. Just force a cancel on the 3rd. And again, Fjant has only lost 4 drones. So far, so good. Unfortunately, Fjant also hasn't been able to drone, and he has lost a lot of mining time. So even though Fjant hasn't lost too many workers, like, damage has still been done. And it looks like he's almost forced all in. It's still only on 34 workers. Lair did just finish. He's gonna try to tango with this army. We have a prism to reinforce. We have a prism to help micro as well. Roaches are getting on top of this. A couple of Adepts do shade past. For the most part, Fjant is pushing this back. Yeah, and he's not droning. Fjant is not droning at all. We have Lings on the way. We have Roach speed as well. He is getting ready for an all-in. So now we know why he hasn't been droning. He doesn't intend for the game to go on any longer. And he does have a large army, to be fair, but he's still waiting for roach speed. As Lings once again are going across the map. This third base is looking a little bit vulnerable. We could try and force a recall. As no, we dive into the main instead. There it is. We do recall the army back home. Boys are being pulled. Lings are at the third. They're in the main. Do manage to take down that pylon. Roaches are pushing out across the map as well. This isn't a bad setup. Fjant, he is supply blocking SKillous. Bearing in mind though, the blink has finished. And is this going to be enough? Shield batteries repowered. Stalkers have arrived. We do have some Ravagers. It looks like SKillous is being zoned away from his own third base. We have an overcharge, but it's going to get biled down. Can Fjant break the third? I don't think he has enough Lings. Does connect with some of those bars. Good connections, but we can see that the Roach Ravager is being thinned out. Lings were kept at home. I noticed them earlier, but Fjant, he didn't send everything across the map. Would that have been the difference? I'm not too sure. I don't think this was enough Lings anyway. They just weren't hotkeyed with the army. As SKillous is able to hold on. Didn't lose any workers. Lost some of his army, sure, but he can replace that. And Fjant is now droning. It's going to be so difficult to macro out of this. Lings do go for a big counterattack, but how do we defend against the Stalkers? Fjant's heavily supply blocked. The Stalkers, they dive into the third. Queens are going down. And Fjant just doesn't have enough to defend. GG, well played gets called, and SKillous ties up the series 1-1. GG. An interesting choice there out of Fjant. He honestly didn't really lose too much at all to those adepts, but he made the decision to react with an all-in, to try to go for a big Ling Roach counterattack, to try to catch SKillous, maybe being a little bit too greedy, a little bit too economic. And he was able to get some damage done. He denied the third base once, if you remember, and he was able to get a couple of probe kills, but alas, SKillous, he wasn't slipping up in his own macro either. We have an ace match. We have a game 3. Oh, let's go. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Ancient Cistern, we have the Swedish Zerg player representing Team Roddy. Oh, still tied up in this series, 1-1 as we get into the ace match. It is Fjant. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the blue Protoss player representing Team Liquid, tying up the series 1-1 in the last game. It is SKillous. Here we go. Again, SKillous maybe a little bit upset after game 1, went for a very aggressive opener in game number 2, going for Glaive Adepts, being very in the face of Fjant. But I was very impressed. I was very impressed with how Fjant was able to defend and minimize his losses. It was the follow-up that was a little bit lacking. Again, his decision to go for an all-in instead of trying to macro out of it clearly didn't quite work out in his favor. We'll see if he can bring it back here in game 3, or if SKillous can close it out. Of course, SKillous is coming in as the favorite player. He is one of the best Protoss in Europe. The only Protoss ahead of him in Europe, I would argue, is Showtime and MaxFax. outside of those two, SKillous is definitely up there in that top 3. Which is why it would be a bit of an upset if Fjant were to be able to bring him down. So I'm always ready for that. Always, Matthew, always. Fjant or Fjant? What? I know it's Fjant. I know that's how you pronounce it, from my understanding. Just how like it's Young shipping, not John shopping. That's actually shaking my head. As for now, do have a Stargate opener out of SKillous. Very macro oriented, very economic. The SKillous, he's calming down here in game 3. We love to see it. But true, is it Fjant or is it Fjant? It's okay. Raiden's Protoss is pretty good. True. He's definitely like top 10 Protoss. Yeah. Nah, it's not bad. It's not bad. But I don't think I would compare Raiden's Protoss to SKillous. I don't think I would go that far. Maybe I should though. Maybe I need to just see more of his Protoss. It's possible. It's possible. I need to see more of his off race. As for now, SKillous is going for, again, a standard opener into that Oracle. Back at home at Fjant. A little bit supply blocked, unfortunately. Just a little bit, but he's soon about to break out of that. He's getting his third base up and running. Adepts do shade into the main base, but the Lings and Queens have arrived. Oof. And just barely not enough, as we do force a little bit lost mining time. Fjant is able to regain control of his natural base. We do have a Spore on the way. 2 Queens are here at the third base location, so this Oracle shouldn't find too much damage. Fjant does have his Queens ready for it. Despite that, SKillous, he ignores them. It does get 3 drones. Oh, the Adept still hasn't been dealt with here in between the bases. Ay. Choose to believe Yaku's pronunciation. Oh no. There's the problem here. Look, choosing to believe anything that Yaku says. Oh. Be careful, Papi, be careful. Just don't let him lead you astray. Take care. You're very brave. As the Oracles are diving back in, still no spores in location, so oh my god, despite there being Queens here, the Oracles annihilate the middle line. 5 more drones going down. Oof. Again, Fjant just cutting some corners. Having a little bit too much faith in his Queens. He's being punished for it. Behind the SKillous, he's happily getting into his own forge, into his Twilight Council. Third base is on the way. SKillous has just been chilling. Macroing up back at home. Fjant has lost 9 workers this game. Not just 9 workers, but also 12 Lings. And I respect this. So, after losing so many workers, it looks like Fjant is not going for a longer game. He's going for a Ling Queen Nidus all in. It is understandable, especially looking at the game state right now. Does snipe an Oracle. Now, what do we have? We have an Overlord looking to dip into the main base. We have a shield battery finishing up here at that third as well. Stalkers are in the midst of moving out. This is going to be a really awkward moment for Fjant. Does he commit to the Nidus? Nidus is thrown down. SKillous does see it. At the same time, we have a massive Blink Stalker push here on the front lines. And Fjant, he has to defend. He sends his Queens across the map, which means he cannot defend with his Queens back at home. They are gaining ground. Meanwhile, SKillous, unflinching, unnerving. Yeah, he's going to take a fight here across the map instead. Good positioning here out of SKillous. Trading so well against these Lings. And because of that, these Queens are just having such a hard time pushing forward. Queen is going down. We're missing some transfuses. The Lings are being cleaned up as well. It looks like Fjant is finally getting rid of these Stalkers. He can finally focus on his assault. Ugh. But it does feel like Fjant has run out of steam. Yeah, the Queens are falling. And we only have 2 Queens remaining here. Overcharge does run out. But look at the SimCity. Look at the SimCity, the cannons, the stack defense. SKillous is holding. I was really worried that SKillous was going to kill the Nidus across the map and the Queens would be stuck. Thankfully, the Nidus survived. Thankfully. But this all-in has fallen on its face, and Fjant is going to try to transition. He's working on a 4th base. He's working on additional gases, hydrogen, evo chamber. He's droning. But trying to recover after committing so hard to an all-in like that, it's a very difficult thing to do in StarCraft. Especially if you didn't do any counter damage, right? Like SKillous, he's up 20 workers. He's about to be up a base. He's got +1. And as Fjant has been working on just droning, he doesn't have much of an army. He's got Lings, don't get me wrong, and the Lings are coming in for a surround. They are attempting to catch some of these Stalkers. But these are Lings that Fjant is having a hard time replacing. Yeah, especially without injects. Oh god, the stasis trap doesn't go off. Thankfully, it doesn't go off, but there are just so many Blink Stalkers available. Fjant transfusing, trying to hold on here to this base. But alas, there's just so much firepower here for SKillous, so much momentum, especially after deflecting the all-in earlier. After shutting it down, Queens are going to fall, Lings as well. We blink on top of the army. And GG, well played gets called. SKillous will take the series 2-1. GG. GG, well played. SKillous, of course, came in as the favorite player, and he does take the series in the end. But shout out to Fjant. A shout out to Fjant because he was able to take game 1. He was able to make a series out of that, make SKillous work for it. And yeah, in game 1, SKillous, you could argue that he underreacted and maybe was a little bit overconfident against Fjant. But what I will say is that in game 2, I would have loved to have seen a longer game out of Fjant. Again, like, he had a pretty good defense against the Glaive Adepts. He only lost 4 drones. He only lost 4 workers. It's just he made the choice to go for an all-in afterwards instead of just droning and getting into a longer game. So part of me is, yeah, curious as to how that would have played out. Regardless, GG. Well played. Congratulations to SKillous. My condolences to Fjant, but okay, was able to take his first game here in the group. And that's not the last. That's not the last we're going to be seeing of Fjant in this group. Of course, before that happens, we're going to be going on a short break. We've hit the halfway mark. We're going to be going on a short break. When we return, we have some more StarCraft. We're going to be featuring SKillous versus Hero Marine in a PvT. Let's go.